Hello everyone and welcome to another Travelling with the Stars podcast.
Yes.
Hello Karen.
Hello, Tara.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
I always have to ask.
I know you do.
Anybody think we weren't married?
Hoping
Or maybe we're like those couples that text each other. You know, happy birthday, text, or
put it on Facebook.
Or
No.
our happy anniversary, text.
No, we're not.
Or Facebook it.
We're not those sort of people, are we? We talk to each other in person.
Do we?
Yes,
sure?
we
Ow.
do.
She just hit me, ladies and gentlemen. She does that regularly.
You know that
we were
we
at a party on Saturday night and people were giving you looks because you kept whacking me.
Because you keep being rude.
Wasn't rude.
You were. Obviously, to be getting a bit of a slap here and there.
No, you just enjoy it. That's the trouble. Anyway,
Let's move
not a
on.
bondage and S&M type podcast. It's travel.
Yes, it is travel. And it's time to take our flight to Cairo.
Oh, we're going to Egypt, are we?
We are going to Egypt.
Okay, I remember that one.
Yes, a 15-day tour of Egypt and Jordan, in fact.
It was very enjoyable.
It was very good.
Do continue.
Well, our
I'll shut up
Will you?
for at least 20 seconds anyway.
Our driver picked us up from our Galata Port hotel at 10 a.m. He was on time. And to transfer us to Istanbul.
He was on time. I'll drink of water and that way I'll shut up.
To transfer us to Istanbul airport for, as I said, our flight to Cairo. We managed to get through Istanbul relatively easily. We were very early, so we had to wait around a little while check-in hadn't opened. So we had to wait until the people turned up to open check-in, didn't we? We always prefer to be early rather than late. I know some people like to have an adrenaline rush and get there with 10 minutes to go or 40 minutes before the bag drop. But no, we like to be a bit early.
We had to stand there and watch the passing parade. Oh, there was a very important lady, remember her? Or so she thought. Trying to barge into the business class line. Only to find out she was in economy. Oh, heaven forbid she had to join the queue.
I know. That was very funny, wasn't it? Anyway, as I said, we were very early, and our flight was with Egypt Air in economy.
What?
It was only a short flight.
2 hours and something,
wasn't it? It was a short flight, 2 hours and 25 minutes.
Okay.
But one of the worst flights I've ever taken in recent years.
I
It was
slept
really
the whole way.
you didn't.
Didn't I?
No, we only had a 2-hour flight. There was hardly any room between the seats, remember? I think they jammed on as many seats in that small plane as they could.
Oh, yeah.
There wasn't much.
My knees were buried in the seat in front, and I'm only 5'6".
That's right. So not much room at all. And a child behind me, remember, he just continually kicked me in the back.
That was after I talked to his parents as well.
That's right. His parents probably said, do it double time. For most of the flight. I do not like economy class at all.
Thank you, Hyacinth.
And so pleased to finally land
Anyone
in
know
Cairo.
keeping up appearances? I'm married to Hyacinth.
Look, economy's not what it used to be. They're squishing in as many seats as possible in most of the planes.
And they ain't built for our butts,
No,
dear.
and they're making the seats smaller. Anyway, we digress. Cairo airport procedures were taken care of by our meet and greet person, Osama. He spoke to the customs and immigration officer and took us through the barriers without us having to line up with the rest of the people.
That was pretty cool. He come and rescued
good.
us.
Yes.
Everyone's giving us dirty looks, wondering why we're walking through.
Why we were so important. He took our passports and organised our visa stamp.
It wasn't
we
just
waited.
us, though. There was a group of us.
There was a group of us, yes. We had organised our entry visa a couple of weeks before departure, so we were all okay. In our group, there were 7 of us for our trip. Our driver, Romany, then drove us to the resort hotel. It took just over an hour, and such an interesting, amazing, and at times scary drive.
I was up front near the driver. That was so cool to watch.
The traffic is chaotic, and every car had dents of some sort. No road rules, no painted lines showing the lanes.
I know
just
how
a
to
free
explain
for all.
it.
How?
Remember as a kid you used to go to the fun park at summertime. You go away and there'd be like a big circus and what do they call them?
Dodgem cars.
Well, that's where I was heading to. Remember the Dodgem cars?
Yes.
That's exactly what's driving like in Cairo. They have a game of tip and run. You touch someone else's bum with your car and then try and keep away from them while they chase you down the road.
Well, they muscle in where they can, but they seem to have road rules of a sort, though, didn't they? because one honk for something and a double honk for something else, and that enabled them to push in, didn't it? So it's very odd. It was good to arrive at our resort, where we were greeted by Romani number 2, because we had, or Romani. So we had Romani was our driver, and then Romani was the guest services person for the tour group, or for the tour company. And he took us through relevant information and also organised our check-in and room keys for us. So far for this part of the trip, we didn't have to do anything except turn up, did we?
No, and look for the bar.
Yes. He gave us tips on what not to do, i.e. don't drink the tap water, don't purchase bottled water from your hotel because it was too expensive, even though he was telling us in our hotel. That was okay. Our dinners for the next 2 nights were complimentary. In fact, what we didn't realise was our dinners for the whole trip were included, because we arrived a couple of days before everybody else so that we could do some extra things that weren't on the list. We had joined a small group tour because I felt it would be easier to have a professional tour company and their team looking after us in Egypt and Jordan.
But that's pretty much what we do most times, don't we? If we're going to a new country that's offbeat compared to what we've normally done, you normally give us a
compared to Europe,
Yeah.
yes, or travelling in the UK. Yes, to go to Egypt, Turkey, Romania, it's good to have somebody to guide you and drive you around.
It wasn't only good, it was excellent.
Excellent, yes. It made the navigating that whole country and fascinating sites so much easier. I don't even know how we would have done it on our own. So, like I said,
I would have probably written off a rental car, so it would have cost us a fortune in fees. People running into me.
I know, that wouldn't have been good.
No.
So, as I said, we arrived 2 days before our tour, and to take a trip to El Alamein with our driver and guide. Our guide was Ash, and at this stage we didn't realise that he would also be our group tour guide for the rest of our Egypt trip. But we had a good day out to go to El Alamein and see the Australian War Memorial, and it was a very hot day, but we walked amongst the graves of Scottish, Canadian, English. Yes, it was about a 3-hour drive, and we had a comfortable minibus just for 3 of us, so that was pretty good. The scenery.
It was a long drive.
It was a long drive, yes. We did stop a bit. They are quite good at stopping for you to have a rest break and
Stop.
argue with the people at the toilets that want to charge you. But that's more about that later on. Yes, it was. It was one of your favourite things. Ash explained that what we were seeing along the way as well. And we travelled on a couple of highways that were tarred, but also lots of roads and sandy tracks too.
That they still called highways.
Yes, it was very dusty. Occasionally we drove along beside the Mediterranean Sea with beautiful views. Lots of new resorts going up. Progress is good, supposedly. However, they look totally out of place in the surrounds. And Ash explained that many were finished but empty, and the government was still building more. I suppose it's the adage, build it and they will come. But in this case, no one was coming, unfortunately. I'll say beforehand, our accommodation for this part of our trip was in the Jazz Pyramids Resort in Cairo for the next 4 nights. And our unit had plenty of room, although the beds were king singles, not a queen or a king bed like I'd booked for all our other accommodation on other trips, but king singles.
You escaped from me again.
Anyway, our drive to El Alamein. Eventually we arrived at the Australian Memorial, and the first thing that struck me, apart from the heat, I think, was how desolate the place was. How low-key the memorial for our soldiers and others was as well. We read the story about the 9th Division and then wandered among some of the aisles of the well-kept gravestones, but there were so many we couldn't spend time with them all, and the heat was blistering hot, so we eventually went back to the bus. It's always a sobering experience to visit these memorial grave sites, isn't it?
Yeah, it was actually.
Yes.
But comparing that to France and...
Yes, to Villers-Bretonneux Memorial, just no comparison whatsoever to see Villers-Bretonneux and then to go to El Alamein. Ash also then took us to the El Alamein Military Museum, which had vehicles, planes, guns, and very interesting artefacts and photos inside.
But it was damn hot.
It was very, very hot. We were pleased to go inside. Lunch was included, and Ash took us to a barbecue kitchen. We chose...
That was the biggest barbecue I've ever seen in my
it was a
life.
very large barbecue. Very hard to explain how the
Okay,
size.
if you think of the Matterhorn head, the barbecue was that, and the chimneys were its ears or horns coming out the side. It would have had to have been 20 foot long by about 10 foot high. The barbecue itself.
Yes, it was a very big barbecue. We chose beef kebabs, and along with the dish, we were served bowls of salads and fruits. So much food for a small lunch, wasn't it? Lots of food. Well, for somebody like me who doesn't eat a lot, yes, it was.
Can you put a little quotation around that?
What?
Doesn't eat a lot of main meal, with the exception of dessert.
I like my dessert.
All bets are off.
Yeah, I like my dessert. But anyway, it was okay. The drive back to our hotel was good. We saw small trucks carrying goats with the goat herder standing in the back with the goats. We saw people standing in the middle of the lanes of traffic, and it took a little while to work out they were waiting for a local bus.
Mm-hmm.
Not something I do. But they seemed to miss them, so that was good. In some cases, it was a very small Suzuki van, which was the taxi, wasn't it, or the bus?
For those of you who remember the little Suzuki
crowded.
carries that we had in Australia, we did see one Suzuki carry that had 7 people inside. How they got that, I'll never know.
Yes, luckily I wasn't driving any of these little Suzuki van taxis
Outside.
because those vans couldn't be too sturdy, I'm sure. And if you turned a corner very quickly, I have the feeling it would probably be a rollover. And having said that...
Probably, definitely.
The traffic didn't move very fast though, did it? So they were probably quite safe.
Yeah.
The pool at our resort was pretty good, wasn't it?
It was very nice.
Very welcome after our day out, as was the bar for a lovely cool drink.
I will say, for you beer drinkers that listen to us, in Egypt, you can pretty much only get Egyptian beer. They do advertise Heineken widely, but guess what? I could never found one in all the different hotels we stayed in, or different bars. You couldn't find one. Plenty of Egyptian beer, which it's a lager. It's not too bad. Anyway, continue on.
Yes, that brings me to the wine, isn't it? Bring your own. Anyway,
Also milk table.
what I did notice was the straw packaging for the straws, of course, which I'm just saying it wasn't a straw like animal straw. It was straws, and it was 100% biodegradable. It was a form of plastic, but biodegradable plastic. So much better than those silly cardboard or paper straws that we're now having inflicted on us. I think that they should look at how Egypt organises the 100% biodegradable.
I reckon they should
Straw.
make edible straws.
Or, yeah, Carnival Cruise Lines does have an edible straw.
What?
Yeah, they do. They have edible straws
Get
that
out of town.
you can have with your cocktails. Very nice.
Oh, you've already had one.
Yeah.
Oh, surprise. Cocktail on it.
Yes. The rest of our little group arrived on the evening before the guided tour commenced. So we were then 7, and another 8 joined the group. A good size for a tour, I think. 15 isn't too bad.
That was good. It allowed us to talk to different people from around the world.
Yep, we had a big coach, didn't we?
We did.
For all of us, so that was good. We could all spread out.
That's Karen speak for Ty. You move over there. I want 2 seats to myself.
Is that what we did?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Cairo day 5 for us was the start of our tour, and after breakfast we started the tour by visiting the amazing, awe-inspiring Great Pyramids and the Sphinx at the Giza Plateau, after which we went to Saqqara to visit the Step Pyramid, the first completed pyramid in Egypt, and what an amazing sight those pyramids are,
You
aren't they?
just stand there in awe for the first 5 minutes, don't you?
Yes.
Just looking at it and going, wow, photos, video cannot do this
No.
justice.
The pyramids are so big, like, as Ty's right, the photos, we all see photos of the pyramids. We see pictures of them all over the place, but they do not show how big they really are and how big those stones are. Like, Ty stood beside one of the stones and it came up to almost his shoulder.
Yep.
And that was one that they had to move.
And about 6-7 foot long.
Yep.
Mammoth. I dread to think how much they weigh.
No. The Grand Pyramid is just astounding. Its size alone beggars belief. It's just an amazing place to be and to see. After you get over the initial wow factor, it brings you back all those questions and stories on how they managed to get the rocks to this place. I know that River Nile was probably close by
they
thousands
said-
of years ago.
I think when I asked about that, they said it was about 3 kilometres away down the hill when they were building the pyramids, apparently.
Yeah, so nobody really knows, and people still think it was aliens that dropped them down there or whatever, but who knows. Ty did the wow thing, didn't you?
I did.
Which, and that's the first time I've heard you say that. We've been to some incredible places, but it was the pyramids that got the wow from him.
We knock a friend of ours for doing that all the time, and then I actually did it.
You did.
But it is. I mean, we've gone into the Grand Canyon in a helicopter, all that sort of stuff, and that's pretty cool. But this was definitely a wow.
Yes, so it was good. I absolutely loved the Sphinx. I'm a big cat lover, and to see this in its glory was just incredible, even if half a face is missing. And having our security guard, who Ty will talk to you about, he moved everybody out of the way so I could get the best photo, and that was fabulous and a little embarrassing at the same time.
It was a very interesting scenario because we were the only, there was us and a couple of other people just walking around together. And next to go, this guy toddles up in a full suit with an official security badge, Egyptian security badge, and an AK-47 under his coat hanging down from his shoulder. And he said, "I will be your security while you're at the Sphinx." We're okay. So anyway, when we went to go down to the cat, what's it called?
The Sphinx.
The Sphinx itself, sorry, yeah.
The cat.
You had to walk through a very small sort of canal. Canal. Where did I get canal from?
I don't know.
Small opening.
Very small corridor.
Small corridor. That's what I was looking for. And Karen said, "Oh, hang on, let's wait a second until they clear out of the way a bit."
It was absolutely crowded.
It was really packed. And he said, "No, excuse me." He went down. I can't remember his name now. No, can't remember. Anyway, he basically stopped all traffic, told other people to move away, get away, leave the open, and guided us through there. And everyone's looking at us saying, "Who the hell are you?" And then this doubled up when we got out over the other side, and Karen wanted to take some photos of the Sphinx, and there was big crowds of people over in the best area, and she said, "Oh, it'd be good if I could take a photo over there." Next thing you know, he toddles off, tells all these people, "Move, move, yalla, yalla," which is a favourite saying over there, and moved all the people away, and then guided Karen up to take her photographs. And again, everyone's looking at us as if to say, "Who the hell are you?" It was rather amusing.
It was a bit amusing, but it was also a bit embarrassing as well. I felt a little bit embarrassed, but it was good. I got some good photos.
Well, didn't he know you were Hyacinth?
But the security guard, do not ever let your security guard take photos if he asks to take your photos, because he doesn't do them very well. So the photos that he took of us, not the best. But anyway, he offered.
Lucky we took some of our own.
Luckily, yes, we got our own. So there you go. We had our little security man. So I'm in awe of these amazing constructions, especially being built so long ago. And this is just our first main day on the tour. So imagine what was to come. The camels were all dressed in their best blankets and tassels, ready for the riders. Not us. I'd already had 2 camel rides in the Northern Territory, and that was enough for me. The mounted police were on camels as well, which I thought was fascinating, that the mounted police were on camels instead of horses.
Well, wouldn't they be? There's thousands of them.
I know, there's thousands of camels. Giza was busy the day we visited, and I'm sure it's busy every day that you would visit. And getting into the area, like I said, took a good look at the Sphinx, and a photo looked a bit difficult. And as Ty said, our amazing security guard, he moved everything away for us.
Yalla.
Yep, and I'm not the tallest person in the world, so it was good to be able to stand.
That's a polite way of saying short there.
It was good to be able to step straight to the front and take some fabulous photos. Eventually we left Giza, and lunch was the next stop, after which we visited Saqqara. One thing before I go on, there was one thing that Ash told us, was that there were people wandering around Giza dressed like they were, with badges on, like they were security, or that they were there to help you. But in actual fact, they weren't. They were there, and once they took your photo or whatever, they would then ask for money.
After your phone back, they'd take your phone.
Oh, that's right, yes. They'd take your phone and wouldn't give it back until you paid. So we were lucky that Ash explained that to us, and we heeded his warning, and we just told the people to go away. Very nicely, of course.
Of course.
Of
I
course.
know how to do it nicely.
So there was one other thing. Before we left Giza, our security man took us around to the north entrance of the Step Pyramid, which is the tomb of 3rd Dynasty King Doza. Another amazing place. We actually, he said we could go down, didn't he? He opened the gate. We went in a little bit, but
You could go to the stairs.
yeah, we went to the
pyramid.
stairs, but it was very, very dark in there. So we opted to just take a photo, and there was
Indiana Jones dropped to my mind. I thought,
I think
I
they
don't think
did
so.
some Indiana Jones things there, but no, we're not Indiana Jones, far from it. So we stepped back. The next place we visited was Aswan, and we had the choice to take an overnight sleeper train, overnight on the coach, or a flight. The 7 of us chose to fly, and I made that, well, 2 of us chose to fly, but I made the decision for all 5 for us to fly to Aswan. Much more comfortable journey, and we arrived with plenty of time to look around and do other things.
Yep.
The flight wasn't too bad. It was just under an hour
Come
and a
on,
half.
you didn't want to do the overnight bus?
No,
Funny about that.
yeah. We
Continue
probably
on.
could have, because we could have just slept on the back seat, but then so would everybody else want to be sleeping
Sleep.
on the back seat.
And we could be stacked 9 high on the back seat.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a good
And then
one.
that's bound to be the person at the bottom will need to tinkle.
Exactly. So we arrived in Aswan around 8 p.m, and along the way to the hotel, we stopped and picked up our dinner. That was a bit rough. It was 2 hot falafel rolls.
I like falafel, so I was fine.
So that was our dinner at around 10 p.m, because our hotel, everything else, all the meals had closed.
I enjoyed them.
Ty liked them. He actually had mine as well.
Well, they were falafel.
They were falafel, yes.
Very nice falafel.
Yes, very nice falafel, she says.
You don't eat it. Well, how would you know?
That's right. But you said.
Yeah.
Our hotel was the Basma Hotel, and it was very good and not too far up the road from the old Cataract Hotel.
I wouldn't mind, like, just on that hotel, I wouldn't mind spending a bit more time. They had a nice
No, it
pool
had a
area,
beautiful
great
pool,
views.
yeah.
I wouldn't mind spending a day around there.
That's right. That's one thing. The resorts in Egypt, the resorts and the hotels are pretty good. They've got some fabulous places. It had, as Ty said, it had a beautiful pool and a garden area, and the outdoor dining area overlooked that whole area.
And the beer was cold.
The beer was cold, the rooms were spacious, and they overlooked Aswan. The next morning, we weren't leaving the hotel until 11:30, so we were up early for breakfast because I was determined that I wanted to visit the old Cataract Hotel before leaving Aswan. I had planned to surprise Ty with dinner at the hotel, but the night before. But Ash said we wouldn't have time, which we didn't, and we'd be out all day and arriving back late. So we got a bit organised early, and then took what should have been a 5-minute walk downhill to the old Cataract Hotel, which was on the same road as what we were staying. However, we used Apple. Your idea was to use Apple Maps, and so
Google Maps. We
Google
tried
Maps,
Google Maps first.
and even though we knew it was just a straight walk, Ty had the app Google Maps out, and it veered way off course. But as it happens, when you do that, you find interesting sights to see, don't you?
We did. We went into a residential area that shouldn't have been a residential area
Oh my
on the
God!
waterside. But when we double checked the directions on Apple Maps, it said exactly the same thing.
So obviously,
So we couldn't trust either of them.
no, there was a bit of an issue there with that. But we did pass this gentleman coming out when we were headed around another street. This
He was
fellow
very
came round and he
concerned.
sort of stared at us. Here's 4 of us wandering through there. Are you okay? Do you need help? And we went, no, we're fine. Yes, we're following our Apple Maps and our Google Maps. And
We're lost.
we're lost. But anyway, we carried on. And then eventually we came to a dead end and went, okay, let's turn, find our way back, and then just turn left at the main road, which we did, and there was the hotel. But we'd had an interesting little diversion, I
Sojourn.
suppose you'd call, yes. So when we went in, there's a lot of security at the Old Cataract Hotel. Oh, and for people who don't know, the Old Cataract Hotel was where Agatha Christie wrote Death on the Nile. That's just a starter. So we went through one set of security, then we had to go in through another set of security, and then we went to the desk and they asked what we wanted, and we said we'd just come to have a drink at 10 a.m, a drink
I think we could do it.
on the veranda overlooking the Nile. So that was a 700 Egyptian pound entry fee, which was, what was that, about $10, $15?
10, 15
Wasn't very
bucks or
much.
something.
So we duly spent, and if we spent the voucher, then that would go towards our whatever we purchased.
In our case, a drink.
As we duly spent our voucher, well, we knew we would. It was spent on drinks. And as Jimmy Buffett said in his song, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So we're doing it. We may never return. What an amazing place. Really old world. And the views over the Nile were just magic, like a picture postcard. So very hard to describe. And even, I don't think our photos even do it justice.
They don't. It's like the pyramids. They don't.
It was just amazing. So I could have sat on that balcony all day for days on end drinking Bellinis. I'd have had to sit there all day.
You would have been lying by lunchtime.
What a place for Agatha Christie to choose to write her book. I do hope I have time left to go back to the hotel and stay a night or two. And if anyone wants to join us and push us ahead to do that, let us know, because we're happy to share the experience. Perhaps I might finish my book there. Might not.
Does that mean we've got to go back to Cuba?
Oh, yes, because you want to Ernest Hemingway. You want to go and sit.
Drank mojitos where Ernest Hemingway drank his mojitos on top of the hotel when he wrote his book.
2 different sides of the world for a drink.
2 different drinks?
Yeah, 2 different drinks, that's right. We had to drag ourselves away from the magical scene, and Ty's new friend, the resident cat, he had to drag himself away from him as well. It was time to head back up the hill for the next adventure. We arrived Black?
We arrived black. We weren't that
still remembering the Bellini.
Oh, okay.
We arrived back in plenty of time to board our coach to take us to our Nile River cruise ship. Oh, one thing I have to say, the 700 Egyptian pound did not fully pay for the Bellini.
No, it was double that, really.
It was, yes, so just be warned. It's well worth it.
$30 for a drink.
Yeah, but it was well worth it. Well, amazing.
As long as you want to come out poor.
Yeah, well.
We could be living in a tent yet.
We could. Yes. We checked in once again onto our Nile River ship, and Ty and I had a small cabin with twin beds, definitely not adequate for a couple, more conducive for a single person. This had been happening at each hotel in Egypt so far, and happened to me on a previous trip as well. Strange, given I had specifically organised upgraded rooms for us, as I knew the standard rooms could be small. Ty's friend Jan, on the other hand, was being given larger rooms, and on the river cruise was given a suite. The only thing I could work out was that they had the names muddled for the larger rooms. But perhaps Ty said maybe in Egypt being a Muslim country.
More senior.
Being different culture, maybe married couple got to go into single beds. We weren't sure what was going on there. But anyway, Jan had this beautiful, massive suite all to herself. We were squished into a
monstrous king bed.
And we were squished into this tiny cabin. Anyway, a buffet lunch was supplied, plenty of food options. Wasn't there? Lots of food.
There was lots of the normal food.
Normal food?
Well,
Egyptian
food.
Yes, lots of food.
So lots of chicken and rice.
Mm-hmm. Lots of fruit, veggies. They were cooking food. It was you wouldn't have gone hungry. After lunch we went out for our trip to Philae Temple, which is situated on an island in the Nile River between Old Aswan Dam and Aswan High Dam. It's downstream from Aswan Dam and Lake Nasser, which is part of the Nile. This incredible temple of Isis is dedicated to Horus, Isis and Osiris, and it was built around 285 to 246 BC in the reign of Ptolemy II. Isis, who was the goddess of magic and love, was also the mother of Horus, the god of kings. The monuments here were relocated from the original Philae Island in the 1960s. Lots of monuments were rescued from floods created by the construction of the Aswan High Dam. So we were very lucky to be able to see those items, and it was a huge place. To get to Philae Island, we boarded a small motorboat. It was timber, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Don't think fancy or modern. It wasn't. And we do have to remember we're in Egypt, but it was quite adequate.
It was fine.
Yeah, it was fine.
Timber boat. Remind me of a little Greek fishing boat.
Yeah. The temple complex is spread over a very large area, and the day we visited was extremely hot without much shade. Now, the days that we visited were in October, so it's still very, very hot in October. My advice, ensure you have a hat, sunscreen and possibly umbrella and lots of water with you.
You're stating the flaming obvious now?
Well, no, some people like me don't, do they?
No, you don't have a hat.
I
And
do
then you
have a
say,
hat.
"Oh, I'm hot. I've got a sunburned head," because you don't wear a hat.
Unfortunately, this visit was not a happy one for Joan, who was a member of our 7. On this trip, we had Joan, Marianne, Georgia, Lachlan and Jan, myself and Ty. Jones caught her big toe and almost ripped the nail off. Eesh, I can hear you saying, the pain. So it was very uncomfortable to walk. She did that on the boat.
Getting onto the boat.
Getting onto the boat, yes. Yeah. So not
I used up my Band-Aid supply.
Ty used up, he was the first aid officer when we got to a part of the temple where we could sit in the shade and fix it. So did Ash have Band-Aids? You had some Band-Aids, and I think we used all.
Guys, when you're away, always carry Band-Aids, hand wipes, tissues, what else? Painkillers, a bit of fly spray if you can, the small ones.
Mozzie spray,
anything like that. Always carry it with you.
Yeah, because there's somebody who's bound to hurt themselves. But poor Joan,
normally, Karen.
Yeah, it's normally me, but you know what? Touch wood. I was quite well on this trip. I didn't fall.
How many bones have you broken on holidays?
Oh, a couple.
3 or 4?
3 or 4, something like that. Yeah,
different holidays.
But I was very good now. On this day, Philae Temple is amazing. It's not far from the Nubian village. We didn't actually go to the Nubian village, but you could see it from outside, from out the boat as we sailed across. This day we walked something like 12,980 something steps.
Can you face the microphone?
I am sorry, I'm just trying to question if that's right. Not our biggest step count day, but still a good one. In the evening, we relaxed on the top deck bar area of our cruiser.
That I enjoyed.
A local dance troupe came on board to entertain the passengers. We headed to bed a little earlier than usual because we were off to Abyssimbel very early the next morning.
3:30 we had to get up.
Yep. This was an optional excursion, but I couldn't pass it up. We may never get an opportunity to visit here again. I did waver a little, but we'd paid our money, so
that
it was
well
like
worth it.
We just got to go.
Yeah.
The other 4 chose not to go, but that was okay because everybody's different and they have different ideas of what they want to see. The next morning came around way too fast, up at 3:30 a.m, showered, dressed, picked up our breakfast pack. They gave us breakfast
bread roll pack.
It was a bread roll. It was definitely a carb pack, not a protein pack, full of bread rolls, croissants, had some fruit and a sugary drink in it, adequate for some people. I'm just not keen on lots of bread, but then I know when I go on holidays that there's not always something that's going to suit me, and that's fine.
The local homeless puppy dogs did enjoy them.
Yes, they enjoyed them. So we waited in the foyer, whoever of us in our group of 16 were going to Abyssimbel. And out of our group, it was just 3 of us that went to Abyssimbel. Out of our group of 7, there was just 3 of us. We departed our river ship at 4:25 a.m. in a smaller minibus for the drive to Abyssimbel. It took an hour to leave Aswan because the gate to the city from the highway didn't open until 5 a.m. and the drive was 4 hours with rest stops. So I can't remember what the reason was why the gates to Aswan don't
because they
open.
stop people coming into the city overnight. Can you face the microphone, please?
Okay.
But I didn't care. You know why?
You were snoozing.
After 5 minutes on the bus, I was asleep and I didn't wake up until the sun had come up and we were at our first tinkle stop.
Exactly.
My first argument of the day.
Yes, you quite enjoy arguing with those people with the charging us for loo. So be aware, and you probably are if you travel to Europe and you travel to any of the other places. Any of the loos these days, they charge a fee. And in Egypt, it was generally £5 Egyptian pound.
But this one wanted to charge 10.
One wanted to charge.
That's where I was having the arguments.
That's right.
£5 I can live with, 10, not going to happen.
What was that, 50 cents or 60 cents or something? It's the principle, that's right. Anyway, at Abyssimbel stands 2 massive rock-cut temples, Ramses II temple and his primary wife, Nefertari's smaller temple. Inside Ramses II temple, you'll see sculptured columns, very intricate drawings, aren't they? The walls are
really
amazing.
Amazingly kept.
Yeah. So we spent
Who
quite
are we starting to sound like? We're going, amazing.
Oh, I know, but it was, I think, I just think it was nothing we'd ever seen. Yes, you see them in books and you see them in pictures, but it's when you're there to think that they were built thousands of years ago and that all the stories that they tell, everything's still intact. It's quite amazing. Anyway, it's amazing, incredible. I'll change my wording. It's a long walk from the bus parking area towards Lake Nasser and the River Nile. And so you keep walking, waiting to get round this corner to see the site that greets you. And it does. It's huge. 4 huge statues of Ramses II at the entrance to the temple are stunning, and they face Nubia. And that was they faced Nubia to watch over the land and to show the Nubians that not to mess with the Egyptians. So inside the temple, you'll find, like I said, large columns. The walls are covered with artwork telling stories of Ramses to battles and victories, as well as life in his reign. The temple was built between 1264 BCE and 1244 BCE. So a long time before we were around. And amazing that they could do that sort of work.
You used the word amazing.
I know. I'll stop that. So pleased I didn't back out of the trip. I managed to get some sleep on the bus, and so did Ty on the 230 kilometre journey. It's very hard to describe Abba Simbel in a short podcast.
Yeah.
Let's just say, if you have the opportunity to visit Abba Simbel, even if you have to get out of bed at 3:30 a.m. and it's an optional extra, do it.
Actually, go to YouTube. There's already a short video up there of Abba Simbel that I put up there on our YouTube channel, Travelling with the Stars. Google that on YouTube and you'll find us.
Right, so you won't be disappointed. Definitely won't be. It's incredible to think how they found it and then moved it. We returned to our river ship about 2:30 p.m. and enjoyed a relaxing afternoon whilst the river ship sailed along the Nile, allowing us to observe rural life along the shores and also view the changing landscape of this long, wide river. Was that where you also bought the towels?
Yes, it was. Shopping on ship. That was quite interesting, actually, because they come along beside the river ship in these little tiny dinghies with an outboard, and they hold up towels or shirts or something, and if you like the look of it, you wave, and they roll it up into a ball, put it in a plastic bag, and chuck it up on ship for you to have a look at. Then you've got to agree on price. Well, I haggled probably for about 20 minutes for the first towel that we bought, and then about 10 minutes for the second towel, but started at 15 Egyptian pounds, and I think I got it down to 5.
Yeah.
So I was very happy with my purchase of 2 nice Egyptian beach towels, and basically hurling them back over, and then you wrap the money up in another towel that they send up and then throw it back at them. So it was a game of tag, if you like.
It's a different way of shopping. But anyway, it was a bit of fun, and everybody was hanging overboard, weren't they, watching it to see what was going on?
Yep. And me haggling with the 2 guys in the boat.
So at 4:30 p.m, our ship docked for a visit to the Temple of Kom-Ombo. And this is where we'll leave this episode of
We've been going on now for nearly 40 minutes, yeah?
Yes, so we'll leave this here, and episode 2...
Episode 2 of Egypt to come.
So this is episode 1. Thank you for listening, and... if you have any questions or anything.
You've been listening to Ty and Karen and Travelling with the Stars podcasts. We do have a new website, by the way, www.travellingwiththestars.com.au, and there's lots of links there to all sorts of things, including our podcasts, our YouTubes, everything else. It's up there and it's ready to go,
Very good. Well done. Been working on that for a while.
I have been working on that for a while, but it's been a lot of fun. Anyway, if you've got any questions, there's actually we do have WhatsApp on there. If you've got any questions, you can WhatsApp us, and we're happy to answer those as well. All right?
Yeah.
Goodbye, everyone. It's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me, and thanks for listening.
Talk to you later. Bye for now.